The Shaded Myrtle Grove, Episode 1. What's in a name? There's something about the way the air smells. It's sweeter than anything I've smelt in my life, I think. Ooh, my head feels like I've been dunked beneath the surface of a warm vat of cream. Come to think of it, I can't hear anything. Nothing but a steady pitter-patter all around me, and even that's muted. I feel cozy and so uncomfortably vulnerable all at once.
You'll be okay.
The chipper voice echoed through the space around me as I bounced around between sleep and wakefulness like shrapnel inside a bulletproof vest. The image of what that might look like entered into my mind immediately, disrupting the thick quiet with its explosive, less than pleasant picture.
Yuck, stop it.
The voice resounded as it wiped the slate clean again.
Follow me.
It suggested quietly, and as soon as I heard it, it disappeared, leaving me second-guessing what I'd heard, when suddenly, with it, a new sensation crept over, in, and then through me. Uncertainty. Interesting. I soaked in the meaning of the word and its attachment to the feeling I was expressing, as my external environment started to stir and move me. Something pricked against my outside, sending a violent shiver to ripple through me in waves. Cold. The thought followed the sensation. Cold. I repeated it again. It sounded right. Lifeless, lacking warmth. Exactly what I was feeling currently. I watched the image of a blazing fire blown out in a flash. Okay, I got it. Beatrice. The word danced melodically over a gust of wind. The draft fell hard against my skin, blowing more cold over me. Beatrice. The voice, or whatever it was, seemed to be laughing at my discomfort. The chilling breeze danced in little eddies over my outside mischievously, as if it were playing on a grassy field. A beautiful splash of color washed over my insides, bringing to mind melodies and laughter. Memories. The word offered a sense of clarity to the scenes flowing through me. They felt as though they were somehow mine, although I felt no attachment to them. Home. The word flew into my mind. It felt right, as the phantom of foreign memories faded from me, leaving me dark, surrounded in grass. My hands were the first body part to wake up. They touched and then grabbed a tuft of the stuff to confirm my inkling. Yep, you got it. Cold grass, the thought confirmed. The wind flung my hair, whipping it over the surface of my face. I imagined a child's face, staring out at me with huge green eyes and otherwise small features, surrounding and highlighting them.
Trees equal safety.
She pointed past me, and when I tried to follow the direction, there was only darkness. I was still sleeping. This was just a dream. The thought seemed to shake me closer to consciousness, sending a ripple through my world. Earthquake? The word offered. An image of mass destruction followed. No, definitely not that, I confirmed, as I started to stir externally. It felt like what I imagined a butterfly struggling against its cocoon might. My eyes and mind were still lost in space, swimming behind the rest of my body somewhere. Something else was happening. The ground under my limp body was trembling. Or maybe it was me, quaking quietly, and all the sounds around me still seemed to be muffled. My eyes refused to open. A million little pins were pricking into my outside at once. Again and again and again, the rhythm relentless. I couldn't tell what I was hearing through the thick, milky sleep consuming me. Fighting the urge to stay separate from my current surroundings, a new sensation took form. The reality. Yep, that felt right. The reality of the situation struck me right between the eyes. Keeping them shut wouldn't keep me protected from anything. In fact, choosing to keep my eyes closed would allow the million little pricks to win. On that note, I blinked, rising from the creamy darkness I'd fallen into at some point. My eyes opened up to see a vast stretch of green. Green everywhere. My insides were stuck swirling between feeling at home and feeling like a total alien to everything. I couldn't see through the torrential moisture falling all around me, so thick I thought looking up might reveal a waterfall of some kind. So you can imagine my surprise when I found nothing but dark looming shadows passing over where I assumed the sun should have been.
It's normal. They call it rain.
I nodded again at the invisible voice behind the inkling. It fell so thick and hard around me, and here I was set on calling it cold little pins. Suddenly the sensation hurt less. Somehow knowing what's assaulting me makes me feel less attacked and more in need of cover. Looking around, I see little rivers of something that doesn't seem to be moving.
Sidewalks.
The word traveled through my mind as my curiosity piqued, and I reached down to touch it. Its surface was rough. Not alive. Sidewalks. Strange, but it fits. I sat up more fully and pulled myself weakly to my hands and knees. They all felt strange to me. Gummy and grabby. I tested them out. They did what they were told, one after another, but for some reason I feel like a synthetic replication of something. Something better. Like an avatar. And as suddenly as I'd started digging my grubby grabbers into the dirt, they started to feel normal, like they'd always been the way that they had. I slowly made my way to my feet, and the moment I stood, the wind picked up. I swayed back and forth a little at first, but then my base took root and remained upright in spite of the natural forces pushing against me. I can do this. I wiped the building moisture from my eyelashes, which sends me into a blinking frenzy until I think to place a hand above my eyes, shielding them from the downpour. Everything is gray and green and wet, and for some reason, it seems to be getting darker by the second. The contrast of all the sensations pouring over and through me is turning into a blurry mess. I can hear myself trying to catch my breath, and suddenly I feel every ounce of the pressure while fighting for the oxygen I can't seem to breathe enough of.
Slow down. Deep. Just breathe deep.
The thought struck me between the eyes. Feeling inspired, I closed them, sucking in fast and long until I felt so full I might explode.
Good. Now let it go.
I released my lips, which, acting like the mouth of an overfilled balloon deflating, buzzed and made a funny noise. I repeated the process, until suddenly the world made more sense with my eyes closed than open. I felt like melting, falling into a heap and just staying put.
Cover.
The word drifted in. I'd heard it twice now. I opened my eyes again over another breath. I have to admit, after a few more and a glance around, I felt a little silly. The million little pinpricks I'd imagined were simply drops of water, the most benevolent resource available, and here I'd been quivering over it.
Find shelter.
The guiding thought resonated with something like a warning. I felt my ears perk at the notion of potential danger. Even the word seemed undesirable. And with it came the picture of all imaginable beasts, who I assumed might make a meal of me, some of which I'd never seen before. Where? I asked back. The silent reply seemed natural as my eyes grazed over the surroundings in search of their answer. The streams of sidewalks seemed to snake through the grass in all directions, at some points, barely visible, only to resurface again further down the way, appearing much smaller. I followed each back to the main vein, which fell closest to my feet. I reached out a toe and touched its rough, lifeless surface, only to pull it away just as quickly. I followed it over my shoulder and turned to follow it in the direction once behind me. The sidewalk remained solid until it joined into a T with another vein that appeared to extend in either direction out of my view. Beyond them was a wider, darker river of the same unmoving element, only this one had white lines and yellow stripes of some kind to mark it.
Asphalt. And because you're naked, you can't understand. You don't know this place yet. Follow my lead.
The nonsense thought rang in loud and clear. So clear, in fact, I had to look all around me just to verify it had come from inside me. As if offering confirmation, it repeated again.
Test me if you wish. I suggest you find cover.
I stretched out my hands to catch the element falling from the sky. My open palm tickled as each exploded into it, coming together in little pools that grew. I watched, mesmerized. A deep rumble thundered around me. I could feel its power beneath my feet, though it seemed to come from the heavy shadows above me.
Clouds.
The voice translated. Clouds. The unrelenting wet beat down over everything. The wind blew through the grass so sharply I could see little droplets being flung back toward me. Little bumps had formed all over my outside, and what I thought I remembered always looking pink and healthy had a blue tint to its paleness as I lifted my arm closer to my eyes to confirm. I passed a finger across it. The texture was less than smooth, and it was cold. I shivered to express the idea further.
It's called skin, and it doesn't do well in the cold.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get the hang of this. It's cold, and I don't handle it well, apparently. My eyes glanced around until a huddle of strange trees with little white bursts all over their leafy green tops drew my attention. Cover, I thought. The image of a tree without leaves formed inside me. Naked tree. I watched the image of the tree blossoming and producing green buds, which turned to full blooming leaves, and among them sprouted beautiful flowers of all colors and shades and varieties. The blooms then turned to fruit, and the vision of myself picking one closest to me and enjoying it fully popped to reveal a single word.
Cover.
I get it. I'm the naked tree. I need to find my covering, so I won't be further exposed to the elements currently dominating and injuring me. My teeth started chattering in a way I'd never experienced. That I can remember, anyway. Okay, things are starting to make more sense. Don't go making it any more complicated, I commanded as my thoughts began spiraling into the unknowns. Take me to the bundle of trees, I demanded my bare, naked feet, figuring that since I didn't have my own cover yet, I could at least find shelter within theirs. Reasoning in place, my feet rushed to comply. I flew over the swampy grass, barely fazed by the same heavy rainfall that had nearly frozen me in place when I'd first come to. The trees grew larger until the little grove loomed above me. I stopped at the entrance, hesitating. Bushes taller than my frame blocked my way. Well, Maybe I'm not supposed to go this way, the idea lamented, convincing me of its rightness before anything else had a chance to join in. But if not this way, then where? My chest thumped relentlessly, adding to my discomfort.
That's your heart, little dove. Remember, you're breathing. Slow it down.
I nodded, catching myself in the middle of a spiral that would have led me to a pile on the ground once more. I looked back down the knoll toward the concrete stream, racing motionlessly in all directions. Maybe if I follow that, I'll find cover. As far as I saw in both directions, nothing along its seams screamed safety to me.
Trust me. Trees. Go to the trees.
Now I know I'd heard the whisper on the wind. I swung back to face the bushes. The wind was shifting and swaying them in just the right fashion to expose a break between. I leapt in. Suddenly, the warmth started returning to my limbs. I could feel it blazing in my cheeks as I left the mayhem behind me. I rustled and wrestled through the lush underbrush until I came into the clearing beyond them. It was breathtaking. My eyes traveled over the canopy. If I hadn't already been outside, I might have been deceived by the quiet underbelly of the trees. By the look of everything within, the world seemed at ease and barely bothered. Be still. I could hear the mantra rustling through the leaves, swaying and singing around me. My feet stumbled over a stray root, and I let myself tuck and roll into the soft display, becoming a part of it. The blades tickled against my outside. I brushed a hand over my arm again. It was smooth. It felt natural, as if it always had been. All sign of the little bumps had disappeared. "Who are you?" I asked the little voice, closing my eyes again. A soft breeze tucked a wet tuft of hair away from my face. Something moist was dripping from the end of my nose. I wiped it on the back of my hand, sniffling in to dispose of the remainder. Oh, that smells so good. The air around me was full of the sweet aroma that had first greeted me as I'd come awake. I opened my eyes and peered into the warm green glow flowing through the thick canopy, extending in all directions above me. Little bursts of white filled the green and speckled across its entirety.
Little bee, do you remember anything of where you came from?
It hadn't answered my question, but it had answered. I glanced through the leaves, pondering. The images and visions I'd seen earlier came to mind, fuzzily. I squinted into them, really trying to gather their details. My effort fizzled and spit until it went out completely, like the image of the fire. My shoulders drooped. Not really. I released the thought back, waiting for whatever might come in response to it. The solid ground at my back was comforting. I soaked in the lack of wetness, suddenly feeling as if I might fall asleep.
That's right. Home, Beatrice. I need you to listen to me very closely.
I nodded as I nodded off into the thick, creamy sleep I'd first come from. Was the only thing that made it out of my mouth.
Whatever you do, come to me. I'll be here for you. I am home. I will assist you. You're here for a reason, Beatrice. Nothing is as it seems. Nothing is as it seems.
My eyes closed to the snowy starburst flowers, and I fell back into deep sleep. To be continued. Hey everybody, thank you for listening to the first episode of The Shaded Myrtle Grove. The second one should be available sometime next week. If you would like notifications on future stories, please feel free to join in. Like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to enjoying this story with you. Have a beautiful week until then, and thanks for supporting the channel.